Bringing Robert Downey Jr. back wouldn't save the stinking pile of dog shit that the MCU has become. Instead, it would be like lifting a very literal, non-figurative leg and taking a whopping piss on the several years of quality content that Marvel once gave us. Hi y'all, SnarkyJay cosplay here. Just this week, Robert Downey Jr. said in an interview that he would happily return to his role of Tony Stark in the MCU. And I wanted to leave this alone, but we have to get into this right now. Iron Man pretty much kicked off the MCU in a big way in 2008, and that character was pretty much the face of the MCU up until his death, during which he literally saved the entire universe with a snap of his finger. For that reason, Marvel fans pretty much worship Robert Downey Jr. After Marvel basically resurrected his career after years of controversy and addiction, Robert Downey Jr. became an icon and the real-life Tony Stark, regarded as one of the best, if not the best, casting choices ever made by Marvel. However, no amount of time was enough for Marvel fans. Pretty much everybody has been missing Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man since his death in Endgame. Robert Downey Jr. has gone on to do a lot of different stuff since his time as Iron Man ended, and recently he even won his first Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his role in Oppenheimer. And now it turns out that he would be open to returning to the MCU. Look, it's no secret that the MCU has fallen off so hard and in so many ways that I just don't even care to recount right now. It went from easily raking in over $1 billion per movie to now blaming fans and attacking critics for big failures at the box office, evidenced by flops like The Eternals, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and the worst performing Marvel movie ever, The Marvels. And hearing Robert Downey Jr. say that he would be open to returning really made me think about this. It is so tempting to wish for Robert Downey Jr. and the original cast of the Avengers to all come back so that we could relive the glory days that we had for those precious 4 phases of the MCU when everything felt worth watching. But like Nick Carraway told Gatsby,
Jay, you can't repeat the past.
Bringing Robert Downey Jr. back wouldn't save the stinking pile of dog that the MCU has become. Instead, it would be like lifting a very literal, non-figurative leg and taking a whopping piss on the several years of quality content that Marvel once gave us. We cannot complain about uncreative storylines while also begging for them to literally just copy and paste the classics. Sure, we can ask for them to change the writing, to change the humor, and write stories that we actually want to hear instead of just pushing an agenda and attacking us when we don't immediately feed into their bullshit. But that doesn't mean we have to rehash everything established by the original Avengers. We literally do not need Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, and Robert Downey Jr. back in roles that they haven't had an interest in playing again just to save the MCU from being crap. And on top of that, bringing Tony Stark back would literally ruin any and all of the intensity of that character's arc throughout the entire MCU. Look at it this way, he started off kind of self-destructive and uncaring, and by the end of his years in the MCU, he was literally giving his life to save all of ours. We also lost Black Widow in the same movie, and when you analyze the fact that Black Widow's funeral was basically just Hulk flinging a bench into the distance, while Tony Stark had a dedicated service with appearances from literally every character, including the one that murdered his parents, they really made us mourn Tony Stark. They made a meal out of this guy's death. I mean, I walked out of that theater thinking I had lost a uncle or something, and I don't actually have any uncles. Continuously bringing back dead characters, in my opinion, kind of lowers the stakes of storytelling all the way to the floor. During Infinity War, the character deaths were devastating until Spider-Man and Black Panther disintegrated because there was no way that they were going to continue the MCU without those two. But Tony dying really raises the stakes for Marvel projects going forward. It's a shame that the storylines haven't quite matched up, but look at it this way, if they're willing to kill off Iron Man, is any character really safe? That made that sacrifice and that storyline all that much more important. In terms of how Disney treats its really important intellectual properties, let's look at Star Wars. Star Wars had a phenomenal cast of original characters in that first trilogy, and established a lot of others throughout that became relevant, and some of them were fan favorites. And what did Disney do? They essentially on all these classic characters in order to make way for the new ones, and they turned our classic favorite heroes into laughingstocks who died in cartoonishly bad ways. They essentially castrated some others. It was absolutely terrible because for whatever reason, Disney is no longer up to writing stories of quality anymore. Do you really want them to get a chance to do that with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man? Do you want them to do that with the original 6 Avengers? I don't think so. I am well aware that all Robert Downey Jr. said was the character was part of his DNA and he would be open to returning. Nobody said he is coming back. That's not lost on me. The point is that before the last couple of years, the MCU was a phenomenal example of how to really build a universe that not only trapped us all in an ecosystem of having to watch literally every piece of content they put out, but they also really established a storyline that allowed us to connect with these characters over not just months, but literal years, over a decade. So that legacy, which essentially started and ended with Iron Man, if we brought Robert Downey Jr. back and rehashed storylines with a resurrected Tony Stark, that would literally be a huge no-no and would basically be spitting in the face of everything established by the MCU when the MCU was actually good. And that's all from me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more SnarkyJay, be sure to check me out on Instagram, and if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive content and photo shoot sets. I will add links to both in the description below. And let me know your thoughts about a possible Robert Downey Jr. return in the comments below.